All right, this is 2.5. We're talking about parallel lines and transversals. This is really just another extension of 2.4. In 2.4, we talked about all the different angle pairs that exist when we have a transversal. And in 2.5, we're going to specifically apply them to parallel lines and notice what happens. So when we have parallel lines and transversals, we have these special relationships. So each pair of corresponding angles is congruent. So corresponding, we said, is in the same place, same position of the transversal. So if I look at those that I just highlighted in red there, those would be congruent, right? Alternate interior angles. Oops, let me do that in blue. Those would also be congruent. So maybe this one and this one. Okay. I could have alternate exterior angles. So this green one and this green one, those would be congruent. And then the last one is consecutive interior, or what we talked about, same side interior. So those two that I just highlighted in yellow, that's the only difference here, that those are supplementary. Okay. So the first three that we talked about, corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, are congruent. And then consecutive interior or same side interior are supplementary. Excuse me. And then don't forget, we have vertical angles that are always congruent, and we have linear pairs that are always supplementary. We still see those types of angles in this situation, and we will still use those going forward quite a bit. So don't forget about those. All right, so let's look at this example here. It's telling us that angle 1 is 65 degrees. So I'm going to label that as 65 here. And then I want to find the rest of these. And I'm going to use my reason, right? Because it says find the measure of each missing angle and give your reasoning. All these above here, linear pair, alternate exterior, alternate interior, same side exterior, corresponding vertical. Those are my reasons for this. Okay. So if it were me, I would start with the angles that I know to be congruent. So let's highlight those in red. Okay. 3, 1 and 3, those are vertical angles. And so vertical angles are always congruent. So we know 3 has to be 65 because it's a vertical angle with angle 1. Okay. Another angle pair, I could say 1 and 7. Those have to be the same because those are alternate exterior angles. Okay. And then the last one I could say is angle 5. That would also have to be 65. And the reasons for this, you could give a lot of reasons, because now that I know angle 7 is 65, angle 5 is vertical to it. I could also say 1 and 5 are corresponding. So that's, all right, so 1 and 5 are corresponding. So that's the reason I'm going to use here. Okay, now all these others, the nice thing about situations like this are that we really only have 2 angle measurements on all 8 of these, right? If you notice, the 4 that I've highlighted in red, those are all acute angles. Remember, acute meaning less than 90. The other 4, so 2, 4, 6, 8, those are all obtuse angles. And so those are all going to be congruent also. So to figure out what they are, let's look at 1 and 2 form a linear pair. We know that a linear pair has to add up to 180, right? So I can just take 180 minus 65, and that gives me 115. So that's what the measure of angle 2 is. So I'm going to say my reason, linear pair with angle 1. Okay, then from there, 2 and 4, those are vertical angles. So I know that those have to be the same, okay? 4 and 6 have to be the same because they're alternate interior angles. All All right, and then 2 and 8, or 6 and 8, again, lots of different relationships we could use here. Those are also going to be the same. So I'm going to say 2 and 8 are alternate exterior. All right, so again, the nice thing about this is that once we find the acute angle measurement, we can use that to continue. Once we find the obtuse angle measurement, we can use that for the other 4. So we're really just finding 2 angle measurements here. Okay, then the rest of the stuff we're going to look at here is solving for variables. And so all we're doing here is we're thinking about what's the relationship that they have, and then if they're one of the ones highlighted in green here, they're congruent, so we're going to set them equal to each other, like something equals something. And then if they're same side interior or linear pair, they're going to be supplementary, so it would be something plus something equals 180. And that's really it for this, okay? So if I look at this angle here, 58 and 5x minus 2, those would be corresponding, right? So I'm going to put that down here. They're corresponding angles. So I'm going to set them equal to each other. So 5x minus 2 equals 58. Solve for x. Okay, so there we go, x equals 12. I'm not solving for the angle because I would actually already know that, right? Because those two are congruent, I know that this angle, so that's 58, this angle down here would have to be 58 degrees also. Okay, here's another example, right? We have this angle here and this angle here, and those are exterior angles, and they're on alternate sides, so alternate exterior, which means that they're congruent. So again, I'm just setting them equal to each other. And we're going to solve for x. So subtract 22. And then I'll divide by 16. So x is 7. Again, I'm not solving for the angle measure itself because I already know that. Since this angle here is 134, this angle has to be 134. I'm really just concerned about what makes x fit that description there. Okay, again, same thing. I have this angle, that's where that arrow is pointing, this angle. Those are alternate interior. We're in between my two lines there, right? On alternate sides of the transversal. So alternate interior, those are congruent, so we're going to set those equal to each other. So x is 18. Last one we're looking at here, we have 9x plus 2 there and 133 there. So these are consecutive interior, right? Which means that they're supplementary. So this is the only one where our setup is going to be a little different. We're going to add them together and set them equal to 180 because that's what supplementary means. So blank plus blank has to equal 180. Okay, I can combine these like terms before I go on. So I get 135. Subtract 135 from both sides. So 9x equals 45. Divide by 9. And so x equals 5. Okay, so same side or consecutive interior. Remember, those are interchangeable, and x is 5. Okay, so that's it for 2.5. Like I said, we're just taking everything we learned in 2.4, applying it to parallel lines, and that gives us these new relationships to explore.